So to get into the background, we have to ask ourselves, why is this such a difficult issue? And what's a difficult issue, of course, is globalization caused by the internet. So of course, the internet inherently connects us together through the World Wide Web. And what we're asking is there a breaking point, a proverbial line in the sand in which the internet can no longer be seen as just a useful tool and instead becomes a harmful avenue for unethical deeds? And the matter of the fact is that we've already seen issues that cross this line and reach into the territory of being dangerous for the world. A few of these issues include political propaganda that's affected the outcomes of elections and therefore challenged the sovereignty of the nations that they affected. And furthermore, we've also have the issue of power being invisible on the internet. So you don't know who's influencing you when and where. But we also have to be sure we can't go too far. If we just axe the internet and try and go into small centralized intranets, then we'll lose out on a way for underprivileged nations and people to be able to find economic power and education respectively. So, what can we do? And to be honest, we don't have the answer. Instead, we want an international committee staffed by professionals and experts in the field to be able to tell us what the boundaries should be. And to do that, we need something that's kind of similar to the Geneva Convention, but for the internet. A place where the international community can come together and decide on boundaries for what is and isn't acceptable online.
The first trend is international interference enabled or intensified by the internet. For example, we have Stuxnet and NotPetya, which occurred in 2010 and 2017 respectively, where a targeted malware attack spread through the internet and infected unintended targets. In the case of NotPetya, this caused $10 billion of damage. There's also Russian interference in several elections, where Russian troll farms used bots to sway the Brexit vote and the 2016 United States presidential election. We also have the Equifax break-in, where Chinese hackers broke into the Equifax network and stole trade secrets and personal information on nearly half of all Americans. Second is international platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube struggling with the issue of jurisdiction. Twitter, for example, decided in 2012 that censorship would apply according to the laws in the viewer's country. However, they have recently come under fire for the opacity of their censorship policies and capabilities in a number of incidents, including a case where the president's Twitter account was briefly suspended by a contractor. Facebook also has struggled to moderate international content, and YouTube has struggled with its own content issues.
So proactivity in resolving the issues globalization poses to our systems is not only the smart thing to do, but is also the proven ethical response as well. The ACM and the IEEE codes of ethics are two of the better known standards to which are applied to professionals who practice in technical fields. And the theory of establishing a worldwide council to work with these issues, many of these solutions are actually quite helpful in justifying our solution. The first is from the ACM 2.5, and that is that all of professionals should give comprehensive and thorough evaluations of computer systems and their impacts, including the analysis of possible risks. The problem with a single business or even nation evaluating their own systems is that compared to the scope of the entire world, the results will always turn out biased in some way. For example, security business in America will not always understand the cutting edge security breaches in Russia. Risks in a computer system with a global exposure can quickly span beyond what a team of a few QAs can predict, and so a global set of evolving guidelines and protections would be mutually beneficial to everyone. Furthermore, referencing the IEEE section 7.8.8 is that all systems we deal with are expected to treat fairly all persons and not engage in acts of discrimination based on race, religion, gender, disability, age, nation, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender, or expression. The importance of this ideal is magnified as the world systems become more globally available, with an ever increasing list of new languages, moral standards, interpretations of UI. The list goes on. More global input is necessary. Just a light misinterpretation of language or idioms can lead to multiple cultures with feelings of discrimination cast against them. Global Council members across a wide range of backgrounds and cultures could help proactively account for all of these issues in an ethically sound way. Proactively. Bringing these systems into a universal scale would also take precedence away from local interpretations of laws that could leave non local parties in legal disputes at an unfair advantage. overall it seems to be the ethical thing to do.
Since globalization has already had a major influence through the use of the internet, it is important that governments are able to embrace the positive impacts that this universal connection has. Having a board would be beneficial since we'd be able to regulate, monitor, and mitigate the spread of malicious information. However, there are some cons, like enforcement flaws, with the difference between malicious information and misinformation. With regards to the Brexit vote, there was a spread of malicious information to swing votes. However, this information became people's personal opinion, and they would personally spread it. The point of the board is not to police how people feel or change anyone's opinions. We just want to make sure people are getting correct information, and since there can be a fine line between these two, it could end up problematic. There's also the chance of undetected violations. Influential groups could abuse their power, or some groups could seldomly but intentionally spread misinformation and go under the radar. Also, YouTube channels, specifically ones that target children, are able to slyly put in product placements in the video and mask it as maybe a toy review. Despite these cons, there are pros. There's protections against malicious information being spread in the first place. In the case of the Brexit vote, we would be able to stop the malicious information as soon as possible. A damage control plan, such as mitigating the effects of the malicious information that had been spread during the Brexit vote. And lastly, consequences. If organizations such as social media platforms have consequences when people spread malicious information on their site, they would have to stop it instead of needing other parties to come in and stop it for them.